Hello, guys. I hope you're having a good evening there. Today we're gonna do a paper. Not sure if we're having audio there. I'm just gonna wait for a second to see if I'm having audio. All right, seems I'm not having audio. I'm not sure if you're hearing this now. Test. Well, that's fortunate. We're gonna have it in a second. All right. I apologize for that. I couldn't hear myself on the other computer there, so I guess that's a problem on the other computer. Well, I apologize for these little issues. It seems like a stream never starts without its hiccups there. So I apologize for that. Well, it's becoming a thing, I guess. But from what I've heard, the other guys, that's how it goes as well for them. Once in a while, they get stream issues. So, well, I hope everything is good with you guys this evening. For those who don't know me, my name is uh, my name is Tony Roy. I also go by the name Psycho. That's short for Psycho Slave. I am EGPT certified, also Microsoft and Barracuda certified. Used to be Nortel certified and Avaya certified, but never got about to renew my in telecom stuff there. Um, just recently this week, I've been doing a couple of Azure certification. I've done three Azure and one Barracuda, so it's been quite a busy week. If I'm a little bit tired, pardon. I'm sorry about that, but I guess that's the way it goes sometimes. Um, I plan to work on more Barracuda certification. We're also working on the HackTheBox certified bug bounty hunter, and I have three other Azure certification that I'd like to finish there. So that's that. Now, enough of me. So on the agenda tonight should be relatively small or short box, uh, but I think it's packed with a load of stuff, and I'll get to tell you a little bit on how I stumbled across and how perhaps my misery becomes your advice. um, all right, so we're still looking for presenters. So if you guys want to present, by all means, give me a shout. It would be great. Um, the way we do it usually is would have I mean we won't let you go out cold. I mean if you want to go, it's up to you, but usually we'd have like a little rehearsal before the actual meetup, and go from there basically. Then probably a week after that we had that initial, or before, a week before the meetup basically is when we'll have that rehearsal, give or take there, depending on the availability of both parties. So I'm not sure which box I'll be doing next month. I'd like to be doing a medium box. Two easy boxes in a row, I think it's not good. Also, I was planning on having this box as a actual non-retired and active box, but well, the box got retired in the meantime. So, well, I guess we'll have to work with that. But I guess that's good news for the folks on the YouTube. At least you guys will be able to pick up the pick up the video there because it'll be public. Now, if I go, I'll switch to the presenting mode. I'll show you how we go about and hack this box called paper here. Perfect. So, well, first things first, I mean, paper is an easy Linux box that was released back on February 5th of 2022. Um, when you perform recon on the site, you're greeted with the CentOS default Apache page, and at first it might seem like nothing interesting is available there, but I mean, eventually, if you take a closer look, you can see a host name there hidden in the header, and from there hit uh, you hit a vulnerable WordPress application that lets you read the drafts unauthenticated. So that's pretty interesting. From there, we move on to an application, a web application called Rocket Chat. And at first, I was trying to hack that application, but I'll show you. I'll talk more about it later. Essentially, it turned out to be a bot that was automating a few things and perhaps doing a little bit more than it was supposed to do. So we got to read files on the Linux file system with a lot of searching, and again, we'll talk about it later. We were able to find the user's password in the environment file, and that got us to the user flag. Then, from the privilege to escalate our privileges, there was a Polkit vulnerability, and that I banged my head quite a bit before I was able to find it. Turns out it was just as easy. The script. I'll talk again more about it later, but the script that I tend to avoid because I tried to do my recon manually, um, turned out to be doing things I wasn't looking at essentially. So from there, we discovered the vulnerability that allowed us to move to the root user. So I found that to be a very fun box. I guess it brought me back to my teenage years of chatting on different IRC channels. Um, but let's start with it. So the skills you'll need for this to hack this box, you'll have to have the ability to work with the web proxy, something like Burk or Prozap. I mean, either or, doesn't really matter which one you use, as long as you get comfortable with one. And I'd say you master your tool essentially. It doesn't really matter which one you use; they pretty much both the same right now, and as long as you master it, this is what's good. Know what a virtual host is. I mean, your initial attack vector, and later on, when you move to the chat application, you'll have to know what those is. Um, and knowledge of the Linux file system. No way you'll wait around navigating the system and perhaps which file is pertinent to your exploration. Basic understanding of Bash, obviously. The exploit that we'll be using to escalate our privileges been written in Bash. Um, for our particular need, I'll just go ahead and edit the Bash script, and we'll use our own username and password. The tools we'll be using will be Nmap. You should have your go-to Nmap commands, basically. I mean, if you don't, you should consider having some. It's a lot easier when you can just copy paste your commands, especially if there's long ones there. It's a lot easier to just copy paste from a text file or from whatever notes methodology or mechanism you use. Some people use OneNote. I prefer to use Cherry Tree, but the problem I found with Cherry Trees is not available on the cloud. But then again, I solved this problem by um, sharing the file on the cloud, so I can still open whatever I'm at. So that's not a big problem. Now, again, web proxy doesn't matter which one, burp or zap. Um, this one's optional, but I use the WP scan, and we'll see later on. The reason I usually try to avoid it is there's limited queries if you don't pay for it. Um, but I mean, in our case, it's just a couple of queries. I've did the queries before, sort their cache, and it doesn't use up my 25 queries a day. A little bit of Google searching never hurts. I mean, you should always work on your Google. Now, we will start on the enumeration. I mean, you heard me say it before. We'll start with Nmap. I probably sound like a broken record at this time, but it's just the way it is. Um, so we will start the Nmap. I mean, I probably won't let it run for the whole thing. I have the the head map already done over here. Um, if I could spell the path correctly. So essentially, this is what we get. We get three ports. We get port 22, and I'll just stop it. And we also see, which I didn't get in my previous, it's probably because I didn't have it in my host file. So we see that over here, but I didn't get it this at first here, um, the host name. So I'll show you how I got to the host name so that way you can see, because you probably won't see it. Well, I did see it, I guess. Anyway, let's get to it. So we see the port 22 and port 80 and port 443 over here. Essentially, we got web and SSH. Usually, it's not a good idea to go against port 22 against SSH unless there's a very vulnerable OpenSSH version that you know of. OpenSSH is usually pretty secure out of the box. So we'll move on to the web. So we'll kick on our Firefox over here, and we'll go to oh, 10, 10, oh, 10. Can't type. That's norm. And 10, 10, 11, 143 is the website. If we go there, we're just greeted with pretty standard Apache test page there for CentOS. So I mean, what I did originally is I went straight into trying to brute force my way in. So I tried the Ferox Buster. Just launched it like this. But I mean, quickly you realize it just there's nothing over here to find. Um, it's just pages that it tries, and it's just 301s. You're not able to go over there. Um, so essentially, what I ended up doing over here is that perhaps I was missing something, right? So I decided to kick up my burp proxy. Now I recommend that you do that right at the beginning because you probably save the hassle of doing a whole lot of recon and a bunch of things for absolutely no reason, which I ended up doing. But I mean, that's the nature of hacking, right? You get to learn, you get to experience things, and you get to do errors. So my burp's a little bit out of date, but it's not too bad. We'll be able to get it done over this session, so we'll switch to burp. You see over here in Proxy how I have Zap and Burp. It's because I divided them on different ports, so I can use both of them at the same time. So once I have that in there, I'll just go ahead and refresh that page. Um, Go back in my proxy, go to the proxy tab, HTTP history, and then we get to see this here. So essentially, this is how I found that the backend had a vhost. Now, not sure if you guys know how to go ahead and change those VOs, but we sudo nano etc vhost, and essentially I just added those over here. So perfect. Now you realize you seen that I had you seen that I had the chat one. Don't worry about this one for now. Later on, I go ahead and add it back. It's basically I find it afterwards. So once I get the this VOs, I just go to office.paper, and obviously it asks me whether if I'm sure I want to go there, and I get to this page over here. So I mean, not a whole lot of recon needs to be done to see that it's done in WordPress right over here. Um, so WordPress, not sure if you were seeing that, and essentially um, we could go around and try to find out like in the source code and whatnot and like what version of WordPress we're running. But we have a tool that does that for us. So why bother, right? So we'll just go ahead WP scan um, slash dash dash URL to the HTTP office paper, and we'll just use random user agent. It's just a habit that I have. So once we hit enter on this, um, it asks us whether we want to update. We're not gonna update now because um, I've done it without the update, so it'll get us where we want to go. And right after it does that, we can see that it runs WordPress. And it says it's insecure, but really doesn't tell us why. So, I mean, the first thing we want to do is copy this. We'll go right into Google. because I have my proxy on. Just gonna turn that off. Doesn't really like. And we're just gonna search for WordPress, the version number, and exploit, basically. So there's a couple of things over here, and turns out like very first one, I'm not sure if it does tell us what the exploit. No, it doesn't. Yeah, actually it does. Um, so it does tell us the POC right here. So let's give that a try. At first, what I did is I copied the whole thing over here. Then I thought, yeah, obviously Google what gets in the way. Office.paper slash and then this. And then that's what it was giving me with this payload over here. Um, Eventually I found out that the order, it doesn't like this part here. If you just take this out, and there you are. I mean, you see all the stuff here that should be private, should be confidential. So, a couple of things about Tiffin, and all right. So it does tell us about this chat, office dot paper here. So I wonder if they want us to go somewhere with that. So that's basically where I went and edited my Etsy OS file to had the chat.paper over here. So just sudo nano Etsy host. Um, so from there, we just basically copy that host and let's just go see what it is. Paste that over here and load. Ask us to register for an account, so which we can. Just go psycho, and pretty strong password of ABC123. Can't even type that right. That's not good. And we register the account. It wants us to use the username, and we land over here. I mean, at first, the first thing that I was trying to do is I was trying to hack this application, like trying to find any information about it. Like I saw this, the channel, but I was trying to find like what version, what's under the hood. So eventually we get this message here, and it just tells us that we joined the channel. Um, so that at first, that's what I was saying there. I was trying to get the version like this in my head. This application had to be vulnerable, so I banged my head on for a while. But turns up, if you just read the buffer a little bit, you can see that Dwight doesn't seem to quite like his coworkers for whatever reason. He's annoyed by them, and because of that, he built a bot, um, which the sole purpose was to annoy the coworkers, but also help them with specific tasks. Um, I'm assuming he's some kind of admin of some sort. So that I found that was pretty interesting. Now, if you start looking at the stuff, I mean, he can tell you how was my weekend, like small talk stuff. Ken tells you jokes. But those two over here is what I found pretty interesting. Is it could read files. Perhaps we can get somewhere with that. Now, we can see a little bit if we keep on scrolling and reading all these guys' message. Oh my god, this is so cool. We can even send them direct messages. Well, this room is read only, so we can't message this rule. Well, perhaps we can message Recyclops directly, right? So if we click on him, click a little reply in thread here. Alright. Perhaps we don't want to reply in thread. We just, my bad. We want to click on his profile. It brings up this little window. And here we're able to direct message him. And we want to tell him hi, help. And he basically just tells us the same thing again. Alright, so we want list. So he's listing this. Like I wonder where that those files are. Like if I ask him list, can't type again, slash, seems to be listing the same thing, the exact same thing. I wonder, like at first what I was trying to do is list, and then I was trying to do comment, and then who am I, and like it just doesn't like that at all. Like this bot's pretty smart. Like it won't it won't let us do command injection for whatever reason. So I tried a whole lot of different like evasion techniques and whatnot. That just didn't work at all. And eventually I just found that well, you can just like go across directories like this. Like this bot has no problem. So at first I was like, okay, well let's try to see if this guy has an SSH key, which he didn't. So can't do that. Perhaps um, if we can see earlier, we can do file. So if we can do file and user.txt, we don't have access. And I mean, it seems pretty obvious here. Only Dwight has access to do. So this one was a little bit hard for me to find, but eventually I came across this variable that loads the environment data when the session starts. Um, so I mean, if you do file dot slash and then etc password, it should bring us the password. So basically, we get the password. But um, what I wanted was something I could work my way into the system, and this password file did not give me a password. It did not give me a way in. So eventually I stumbled upon this proc self environ. And essentially those are the environment file that when you create the session that you're in. So over here we see that the session and I mean if you dig deeper you can see that the script is being run by root but it's been sudoed into Dwight's name. So essentially, this script runs as Dwight. This is why all these that basically we have this over here. And what's interesting is Rocket Chat password. So I wonder if perhaps Dwight reuse um, his password. So I mean over here there's not a whole lot we can do. We can list files, we can like cat the content of it, and we can do an ls. I try to do anything else. It won't run files, it won't run any commands other than ls and cat. And you have to know what file you're going. All right. So